Halo 2 made 168 million on its first day and went on to sell over 8 million copies worldwide. Its popularity has to do with its combination of graphics, playability and storytelling, and everyone seems to enjoy stepping into the shoes of its hero, who's called Master Chief.
I think it's because he's gruff and manly, and he's very, very Samoan in his outlook. He's got very Pacific Island values. How so? Like, he sees something he doesn't like, he kills it straight away. He sees nasty people doing bad things, he kills it straight away.
I like the idea of driving tanks around and sort of peeking out and then doing a bit of frr and then hopping down and driving around, because potentially that's something I'll never do any other time in my life.
Reviews so far have been largely glowing, the most negative stating that Halo 3's just Halo 2 with better weapons and high-def graphics. We won't know for a few more hours what opening day records this game will or won't break, but so far Halo 3's taken in around $500,000 here in New Zealand.
Hello!
Let's start with what everybody likes to refer to as the 3-foot grace. One of them seems to be, well, robotic. I don't know if it was intentionally designed that way or if that's something that happened over generations, but it does seem to be set up by height. The taller the alien, the more power or responsibility they seem to have, and the more respect or obedience they get from the ones under them. Not only have they explored at a quarter light speed, a billion-year-old race could have explored the galaxy several thousand times. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, I'm not even saying it's not going to be invented. The argument is it is possible.
New Zealand's WCG representative team spent 5 days in Germany together and were on a high after seeing how big Halo 3 had become. Back home the community had been steadily growing, and if events like WCG were to keep happening, then sticking together as this dominant squad was a good idea. However, Team Sidewinder was not to last, as Prod and Zero had a different idea.
We found out that they had dropped us when we got back, and that they had decided to do that while we were at the event, which I found kind of dodgy. I felt pretty bad about it.
They actually only wanted to get rid of Zephyr because Zephyr wasn't playing anymore, so he just wasn't online, so they needed a fourth player, and they asked both me and Man2 to fill that position, but neither of us would join the team unless the other one could come with us.
Zero was my sort of double team partner as well, so I felt inclined to just go with him and join this new team.
I didn't actually know anything about this until I got a message from someone on Xbox Live saying, oh, Man2's got TSW in his name, when did that happen? So I got online and I saw that and I was like, oh well, they've obviously split without telling us. So me and Merc had to find another two teammates.
To see that team get kind of snatched and broken apart, I felt really bad for Jamba, and I was like, fuck man, you finally made a new team and then it just got destroyed by them. So I was real pissed off for him and angry for myself, and so I asked him to team.
Fuck yes, I'd love to team with you, because Curtis was Curtis from back in Halo 2 and he was an absolute monster. So I said yes, with me and Merc joined the team, and then we found our fourth in Diffuse.
He was a massive Halo PC player, just Halo 1 PC, and he played that all through Halo 2, so he didn't even play Halo 2, I don't think. He was just like mad crazy Halo PC. But he made the switch to Halo 3 on console, and he was absolutely insane at sniping. His BR was on point as well. He was just such a smooth and sharp player, and he was just really good at Halo 3.
I didn't do it just to make you happy. I do it for the ones still clapping. You're stuck on the fence, and I'm over it. My mind is in a cup with this bullshit. I see you there with your hands up. I know it's real cause you're just like us. Head high, giving no fucks. We'll be the ones they hate. I see you there with your hands up. I know it's real cause you're just like us. Head high, giving no fucks. We'll be the ones they hate. We'll be the ones they hate.
So we picked them up and we started practicing in preparation for IBB.
The next competition was at a local LAN centre in Auckland called Red vs Blue. This was the first 4v4 comp for the newly formed Team Sidewinder. Amped was also in attendance, looking to see if their time practicing as a new team was going to pay off.
Yeah, there was just a lot of random teams, and I think we kind of felt like we should sort of add a bit of a rivalry to the whole scene again, rather than just one super dominant team that will just go through the whole thing without losing a game.
After losing to TSW in the winners bracket final, Amped would face a makeshift team that featured Bob. Being able to take them down with ease, they got another chance at TSW in the grand finals. Team Sidewinder were confident going into the grand final matches after beating Amped 3-0 in the winner bracket finals, but Amped were still hungry and would still give it their all.
Capture the flag. Flag taken. Flag dropped. Flag taken. Flag dropped. Flag dropped. Flag taken. Flag dropped. Flag taken. Flag dropped. Flag taken. Flag taken. Flag captured. Flag dropped. Flag stolen. Flag dropped. Flag stolen. Flag stolen. Flag dropped. Flag stolen. Flag dropped. Double kill. Flag dropped. Flag taken. Flag dropped. Flag dropped. Flag taken. Flag dropped. Flag captured. Flag stolen. Flag dropped. 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 Flag taken. Flag dropped. Flag taken. Flag dropped. Flag taken. Flag dropped. Flag taken. Flag captured.
Yeah, we faced each other in the final at Red vs Blue, and we ended up coming out on top.
That was a good LAN. I felt like that was the best LAN I had. That LAN wasn't too hard. We only dropped one game throughout the whole LAN. Not a series, just one game.
With Zero and Prod taking two of DTS's strongest members, their team acted as another super squad, just as FOURvFOUR did when PB and Lateral merged. Jambun and Curtis were very driven to beat them after coming off short in the exchange, but they just didn't have a full enough lineup or experience together to match this new powerhouse squad.
I kind of attribute our loss to Merc not really listening. We'd always tell him things that he'd need to improve on, and he never even tried to improve on them, it seemed.
Diffuse was doing a lot of the objective work, whereas that's usually, that role comes down to Merkel and I. So I think everything was just out of place and it wasn't flowing as well as it should have.
They didn't have too much team practice together, which is obviously a big thing for the 4v4.
Competing in 4vs4 tournaments isn't as easy as it seems. There is a lot more to it than just getting 4 players together and calling yourself a team. Attitude, mental ability, respect, strategies and a good practice schedule are just a few of the fundamentals teams must learn in order to perform well.
There are a lot of things that people trip up on in game, mainly awareness. A lot of people just will run into an area without checking their surroundings. I mean, it's such a obvious thing to do, like, you know, if you're going to walk forward, check to the right or to the left to make sure you're not going to get assassinated or shot from an angle. But a lot of people don't actually check it enough.
You've got to be in a team that you have chemistry with. You can't just join a 4v4 team because you find 4 people that know how to aim. You've got to be able to get along with your teammates and, you know, be able to have fun with them and all that, and, you know, play serious but also play casually as well and have fun.
Don't take it seriously 24/7 because in the end you'll burn out.
A lot of people just like don't understand, it seems, the power deficits and like changes between areas of maps. So they'll just charge into an area without considering that it's actually a really dangerous area to be in because there's a lot of angles and there's no cover. And so they'll be like, oh, there's an enemy, I'm going to get an angle on him. So they'll run around the corner and don't really consider that they're running into a dangerous area, and then they'll get killed and then they'll rage and it just gets really bad. Where if they kind of just sat back and called the dude out and stayed in a safe zone, they would have stayed alive, and that's a lot more benefit to their team.
Just the small talk is such a big thing in Halo that people seem to forget about, and there's just a lot of like room where you can say something small like I'm with you, or hold up man, give me 2 seconds and I'll be with you. Like just anything like that is just huge.
You have to have an awareness of how your communication and your attitude affects your teammates. It's really a huge thing because so much of playing Halo competitively is mental. Because if you start kind of breaking down a bit and you start getting agitated and angry, and if you start venting and not communicating properly, your teammates are going to find it very difficult to try and give it their best effort.
Getting shots onto people while you're just running around, just shooting them and getting them weak. And also, you don't want to take as much damage yourself, so if you can get 2 shots on someone without taking any shots, that's just 100% win.
The other thing is just don't take shit to heart. People try not to get emotional. Raging and getting negative. So many people get really negative and angry at the game, and you can't win. Like in that mindset, everything goes wrong. You have to be positive no matter what's going on. It can affect you positively, but usually it can affect you negatively. That's the main thing, right? It's just a game in the end. Find someone you enjoy playing with and that shares the same drive as you. You can waste so much time and energy playing with the wrong people.
So we dropped Merc after that, because when Merc gets down, he whines and complains about every little thing. So we got a bit sick of that after time, so we just decided to cut him out and try and find someone to replace him. We had real difficulty finding a 4th. Me, Diffuse and J-Man really good mates. It was going pretty well, but yeah, we just couldn't find anyone with the skill and dedication and kind of attitude that we were after.
With the majority of old school Halo 2 players gone, LAN interest faded. With it went the general lack of skill and competition within New Zealand, as most of the population were now Halo 3 players who only played online matchmaking. The shift in LAN to online caused the numbers attending to drop, and the next tournament, XLAN 2009, went back to the 2vs2 format to help aid the amount of teams entered into the tournament. Curtis and Jambun were the only significant duo at the tournament and took it out with ease, with second place going to a pair of unknowns. It was evident that the newer generation of players were here in full force. With the lack of interest for events and the overall number of events taking a dive compared to the past years, players didn't really see the point in continuing to play. Prod ended up quitting, and Diffuse didn't see the point in continuing as there wasn't much to play for.
Prod quit basically because he needed more time for his studies at university, because obviously we wanted to play Halo virtually every night that we could, trying to practice at least 4 or 5 nights a week. But obviously with him being at university, he needed to really step it up there because he wasn't doing so well, if I can remember, because we were playing so much Halo rather than him studying or anything like that.
I kind of just put a stop behind it, and I stopped playing Halo, or competitively at least.
A lot of the old school players that had like the huge respect from each other from all those old lands, dragging the CRTs around and kind of going through the growing stages together, a lot of those players weren't playing anymore, and it was kind of like a new wave of all these kind of new kids that were really young, got Xbox Live, didn't really understand what we had gone through, and didn't really have the respect or attitude that we did.
With the lack of local events in New Zealand, an Australian company called AusHalo had sprung up with a tournament structure that allowed both Australian and New Zealand teams to compete in online tournaments. Most online tournaments would have 30 plus teams from Australia and New Zealand regularly battling it out for first place. These teams would compete for points that would then seed teams into a pro division for ACL's live events hosted around Australia. This is what most new players were brought up on and all they knew, so it was only a matter of time before new names would start to show face within the community.
Back in college, I used to have like a number 2 haircut, which is like real short, and everyone would call me like Baldy. So then I got the gamer tag, the Bald Unit, and then that ended up getting banned by Xbox Live, so it was Bald Unit. Oh no, I was the bald one. Yeah. And then my mates were like, oh, you should change it, blah blah. So I ended up changing it to like Bald Gets Head, and that got banned. And then I was SB Bald, and it's pretty much where the bald is now, so it's just bald.
I originally got my gamer tag from my basketball team because of shooting. It was called Sharpshooter. And eventually got shortened down to Sharpie from Defuse just because call outs, shorter names.
Originally I was known as Shadow, back when I first started playing on Xbox Live. How I got that game tag was the first ever LAN that I attended at this church far out of Wanganui. I was doing rubbish against pretty much everybody, and because I didn't have a game tag, I was switching through the default names. And eventually I got given the tag Shadow, and basically after that I just started wrecking everybody. So I was like, well, must be a sign, I'll stick to that. And I stuck to that for a good couple of years, and then eventually decided that I really liked the game tag Justice, and I thought it would help people to remember my real name, Justin. So that's pretty much how it went.
I got my gamer tag pretty early on, playing 2v2 split screen Halo 2 with mates, and everyone would just pick like the most retarded names they could, you know, Nightcrawler, XX, whatever, and I was the old Night Shadow. And from there, the whole night thing, I kind of picked Insomnia. And when I got into the competitive scene, I thought, hey, Insomnia is pretty gay, I should probably make it a bit more professional, so I just shortened it to Insom.
I went on to Halo CE, and I thought it was quite a funny name. So it says you got killed by your mum. So I kept that name on Xbox, but it was already taken, and so I couldn't have that name. And for some reason, I was thinking James Bond at the time, so I put 007 at the end of it. So that's how it came to be Your Mum 007.
With AusHalo's final event of the year quickly approaching, there was a massive amount of Australian teams all competing at the highest level. AusHalo's final event would take place in Brisbane, Australia, giving it the title Brisland. The scene was dominated by BSBR, and it was looking likely they would continue to do so at the Brisland finals. But some newer teams such as Team Evolution and Incontrol were making marks online and starting to catch up to BSBR. Incontrol were known for being an online only squad, and most said they wouldn't stand a chance when they reached LAN. Team Evolution were always close behind BSBR and would go back and forth in online tournaments throughout the year.
ACL was going pretty strong, so the Australian Console League, basically the Australian community was just massive at the moment. And there was their finals at the end of the year that Jambun really wanted to attend. He was talking heaps with this chick called She's Trouble.
I was on a custom with her and Brainseeker, and she offered us, our team, basically to pay for flights over to Australia to compete in Brisbane finals, ACL finals, which obviously I said yes to.
After Jambun was approached by She's Trouble to get a team of his to Brisland finals, he had to scramble to get a lineup sorted. Amped wasn't in a good condition. They had dropped Merc after the RVB event, and Diffuse had quit. Not wanting to miss out on the free flights and the chance to play against Australia on land for the first time ever, Jambun made an unconventional move and approached TSW.
I didn't have a passport, and Man 2, if I remember, was only just able to get his one in time. There was no way I was able to get a passport, and considering we didn't have a 4th player to go with, even if I could get mine, it sort of made a lot of sense for them to go for Zero and Man 2 to go with Curtis and Jambun at that stage.
Diffuse had quit from the team. I think we were still at the time trying to find a solid 4th or permanent 4th for our team. Prodigy had just quit from TSW, so Curtis and I decided to approach Man 2 and Zero about teaming together to go over to Brisbane and compete.
After Legend being unable to attend the event, Jambun and Curtis decided to go with Zero and Man 2. The final team playing under the Team Sidewinder name at Brisbane would be Curtis, Jambun, Man 2 and Zero. This version was made for a specific purpose but was built on shaky foundations, as there was still some animosity between the members after the previous player exchange between TSW and DTS. With such a robust online structure of tournaments, there were a few players that started to surface within the New Zealand community. One of the more standout teams that were doing well were Strafing Bullets. SB had gone through a multitude of team changes and finally had settled on a mix of players that were good and got along with each other. The final SB lineup consisted of Bald, Heel, Amphor and Skittles.
At this point, I wanted to keep becoming a better player, keep improving, especially like my sniper. Watching like Snipe Down and all those guys, the pros, they made me want to be like the best sniper.
Until they hear you
and so yeah, I get a lot of snipers and keep practicing with that. Of course, I always wanted to be in the best team. That was one of the goals.
Started scrimming teams around the country, played TSW, which were the #1 team in the country for a long time.
We played alright against them. We got a bit destroyed most of the time. There was a few close games, but the majority we lost by quite a big margin. We weren't that phased about it though, because we were like, oh, TSW are the best in the country.
They were definitely top dog.
You could see they were a solid team in the making, but they just hadn't quite nailed the fundamentals they needed.
So that was just another new team, but like since I wasn't really that involved with the community anymore, I had no idea who any of them were, and we'd beat them pretty easily. Like I think they took 1 or 2 games of us, but I never really thought much of it.
We played them before they left for Australia for Brisbane 09, and we lost like a few scrims, but the last scrim we played against them, we beat them. I can't remember how many games it was, but it was pretty convincing, and we were like over the moon to be bit like our idols of the game.
So yeah, we were practicing pretty hard, and then I was getting down to like the last few weeks before the LAN, and we were like, so is this kind of sponsorship thing still happening? Like it is, eh? And then Jam was like, yeah, it's good. I'll just double check and ask her kind of thing, and then we kind of didn't really hear much back, and eventually we found out that she wasn't going to pay it. But I put in like the hard yards, and so did my team. We all put in the hard yards to just be dropped like that, and we're like, wow, this sucks. We decided that since we were kind of so involved that we should just kind of go anyway, and we paid out of our own pocket. Ended up costing like $1,000 or so, and I didn't really have that money back then, so I was pretty pissed off about it. It's fucking bitch. There was a few online competitions leading up to Brisbane, and we placed like top 3 quite a bit, top 4, which is pretty decent because yeah, there was some crazy good teams. So to place that high, we were feeling pretty confident going into that.
Coming down our black, I'm pretty sure. Custom 90. I got that sniper, Isaac. Oh, sorry. I'll get him. On that bridge, guys. Bridge. Watch out. I'm training, guys.
The Brisbane finals was home to a lot of upsets. TSW placed 6th, well under what we expected of them, and Incontrol won, with Team Evolution coming 2nd and Best BR coming 3rd, the complete opposite order of what everyone expected.
On paper, I thought the team was awesome, like a real powerhouse. But online, things didn't quite work out. I think Curtis and Zero had conflicts of interest at certain times.
We should have placed higher. Like teams were predicting that we were going to get like top 3 or at least kind of 4th. We were aiming for 4th because there was Best BR, Team Evolution and Incontrol, and we knew that they were ahead of us. We knew that they were solid teams.
When we were actually over there, things didn't mesh as well as we should have, and we ended up choking quite badly.
Highlights of that event was definitely Incontrol winning. That was the passing of the torch. After the event, I was really disappointed and I really regretted going, but right now, years later, I'm so stoked that I did, because that was probably the biggest moment in Australian Halo history. Even for New Zealanders, that was crazy to watch, because like, you know, we followed the Australian scene, and to see that happen. Best BR had been dominating from as long as we could remember, and TE was kind of on par with them. Incontrol was a completely new team in Halo 3, and they did kind of well online, but everyone just called them one-liners. They're like, yeah, wait till you get to LAN, Best BR know what's up, they'll smash you, they've got all the experience, and TE's fucking amazing as well. And then, yeah, they ended up winning, so it was amazing to witness.
Halo 3 started off slow, but after the World Cyber Games event in Germany, followed by an entire year of AusHalo online events, which was topped off by one of the biggest events in Oceanic history, the scene in New Zealand boomed. Many new teams had formed and were all eager to get amongst the LAN action. Teams were practicing a lot online against each other and against Australian teams. Many of these new players had surprisingly high skill levels, considering many of them had never attended a real-life tournament. All of the online practice had given these teams a very strong base. The community was now eager for the next event.
I really hated this team, like, I'm not going to hold back. I hated that team.
He can be alright sometimes, but yeah, most of the time he's a bit of a dick.
There were some things said.
And it was just this outburst.
Everyone had issues with him just because of his trash talk.
I think I just like fanboyed really hard over TSW and Zero basically. 3
brown people, Chris Rocorp, myself, and one dirty ass Mocky Honky.
He didn't get along with our team at all. There was always just a bit of tension between us and him.
He was the one I thought I could learn the most from.
Yeah, I didn't even want to go to the next LAN, to be honest.
My one big memory of William was when we went into this big team battle game, and he just told me to start yelling out the national anthem.
There was no way we're playing this dumbass again.
You fucking bitch! You fucking leave! Shut the fuck up with me!
You don't
fucking piece of shit!